So welcome to Feed the Google Monster. We're going to show you TextSuite in action, and we're going to answer any questions that you have about it. We're also going to show you some of the ways you might use the techniques we'll show you in your own content creation, whatever tools you may use at the moment. So we want to start with something basic. It's a basic rule. You've heard it a million times before. We know you have, but it's worth repeating. And that rule is very simple. Content is king. So at this point, I just want to say hello to John, make sure he's there and unmuting himself. So John, are you there?
I'm alive and unmuted.
Hi. So content is king. Over the last 14 years, have you seen anything in your online marketing, and everybody knows that you've generated multiple millions every year, so you're successful. Have you seen anything that contradicts this basic rule?
Nope, that has not changed at all. There have been all kinds of predictions that everything was going to go to video, or that websites were going to die and it was all going to be social media. None of that's true. None of it's come true. None of it shows any remote signs of being true. Everything depends on content. And what people don't say is that even if you do create your content primarily for video, you still have to write the script on which the video is based. There's always content behind everything. If you post to Facebook, that's content. Twitter, it's short, but it's still content. Whatever you're doing, people are there to find the answers to the questions they have. Whether it's audio, video, social media, or a plain old article on the website, you still need content. It starts with basic text.
And if you take that basic text and then you enhance it, yes, of course, you're going to get some benefits and additional traffic and stickiness and so on, but you start with that basic. So content is king is something we can all agree on. Before we continue, I just want to launch a poll for everyone. I want you to have a look at this right now. And I would like you, if you would please, just to answer the question, how many pages of content do you have online right now? Do you have up to 500, 500 to 1,000? Just click the option that applies to you, and then we'll have a look at the results in a second or two. It looks like we still need a few more seconds. People are just still voting. So please do answer, and if you've got no pages online at the moment, that's fine. Just click up to 500. And then we'll see the results in a moment, because it will be interesting to see just how much content people do have, and then we'll factor that in a couple of minutes when we talk about content creation. So just a few more seconds. If you haven't voted yet, if you would please just click on the appropriate box. I think if you're using a mobile device, it may be difficult to do the poll, but if you're on a desktop, just click whichever applies to you. Just another 10 seconds, and then we'll have a look at the results, which are already very interesting. I can see them here. They are really quite interesting. So 5 seconds more, and then we'll show you some numbers. Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So what I'm going to do now is show this on screen. So
I gotta say, I'm surprised we got 8% of the people with more than 3,000 pages. That's pretty impressive.
yeah, it is, but I suspect a lot of them are Prosperity members and maybe using
true. Good point.
many of the tools there anyway. Because we know that some of the people online with us today are regulars, which is great. And
Yep.
Thank you for joining us. It's always lovely to have you here.
Leslie, shout out to Leslie, who got on early and said hello.
Yeah. So 72% have only up to 500 pages. Why do I say only? Well, let's have a look. So if you've got a website and no traffic, do you make any money? Well, no, of course not. And over the last 18 months, we've been experimenting with traffic generation, and what we've found, and this is not a big surprise, is that the more traffic you throw at a site, the more money you will make. But the site has to have good content. So let me reverse the question. What good is traffic without a site? If you have 1 million visitors a day and they go to an empty page, what's going to happen? John, what would happen if we did that? We don't, but if we were careless enough to send people to an empty page, what kind of things happen?
You would have a 100% bounce rate, which means everybody would immediately hit the back button and go somewhere else.
Yeah. In other words, it's a complete waste. So we've done the poll. I meant to mention it here, but let's have a look at some numbers. Now these are figures which are just for WordPress.com, and this is where you can get a free blog. Lots of people on there, as you can imagine, but the figures are really interesting. Every month, 54 million plus new posts, new blog posts, new pages are added every month. Now let me break that down for you. That is 1.8 million pages every day. So there's a lot of noise out there that you're competing with. So here's the internet, and that little thing up there, you might not even be able to see it, that is you and your content. Now I'm kind of exaggerating here, because to be that relative size, and it should be smaller, but you wouldn't be able to see it if I did it. This would be if you created, are you ready for this? This would be if you created 1,000 blog posts a day, every month. When there are 1.8 million blog posts just on WordPress.com, if you created 1,000 blog posts a day yourself, you would still be the most minuscule fraction of that section of the internet, and so you'd be drowned in the noise. Now, the quality of the content varies on those 54 million pages, and some of them will float to the top, of course, because they're better, but you've got to start with having content out there. So it's an important thing to do. Let me just show you it in a slightly different format, because it may make the point slightly more significantly. This represents everybody else on WordPress.com, and my charting on Excel, I can't get this line small enough, and that represents you. So I can't actually show it as small as it would need to be. If you have a very good definition monitor, you may see that there's the tiniest hint of a red line down here, and that's how small a percentage it may be. So, John, I think we've had this discussion before in the past, haven't we, about the hardest job in the world when you start staring at a blank page. So I think we can admit to the audience, we have that same problem, don't we? If we
Oh,
have a blank
absolutely.
page, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, what
Yeah.
do we do? So, of course, when you're looking for ideas and inspiration, a blank page is where we all start. I really want to emphasize this. We all start from that same place. But by using tools to make it easier, and by using them in the right way with good techniques, you can start to get a bit more than a blank page. But there's something that's worse than a blank page. We've talked about you've got to start with content, and John's mentioned that a moment ago. Something that's worse than a blank page is a page that's too full of text. Now, why is that such a bad thing, John?
Well, as soon as people see that much text, they're overwhelmed. They think it's going to be long and arduous to read. I mean, if you ever pop open like a medical textbook, good Lord, it's just nobody wants to renew. It's like, yay, I get to read this. It's terrible. Something about our brain, and we're hardwired. We want to see images. We want to get pictures. We want that visual stimulation, and text does not give you that.
Out of interest, has anybody read that entire text that I've just put up there? I mean, some of you will have done, but you know, has anybody read the entire thing? Because I'm going to show you now a different way to portray the same information. So if you throw up text, it can bore and annoy your visitors. And when I say annoy, it can really annoy and bore them. And that's because we are conditioned to respond to visual stimuli, and we're conditioned by television, by the internet, tablet devices. If you think back a few years when the internet was very slow compared to now, graphically rich websites could not load quickly enough for people to be bothered to wait for them. In fact, if you go back a long time to bulletin boards, it was all text, and you'd queue a message and send it, and then you'd wait for messages to come back. It was really very slow and not a tremendously pleasant experience. It was mainly geeky guys who would do it, right? But over the years, as the power of the internet has become more significant, more and more of the content we consume has rich media. So rich media holds attention. But you've got to start with the text and the content, and then you enhance it. So this is an important point. It's a distinction to remember. You start with the core content and then add on top of it. A good image on its own is nice, but it will not thrill a viewer because they're not getting information. If you give them information without images, you may bore them. If you give them everything, you keep their attention, but you also educate them, which is what 99% of the searches on the web are about: education, learning something, finding something out. Rich media holds attention. I've got a simple page up here saying that. Let me show you what happens if we start adding some rich media. Rich media holds attention for the simple reason that we are attracted to color and shape and form and movement. Rich media holds attention because it engages the visual part of the brain that we're all hardwired to respond to. And that's why you see websites now are very graphically rich. If you look at Amazon, how many images are there? There's a ton of text. There's a lot of description and, product information and so on. But if you look at the shopping sites in particular, most of them, sensibly, have a lot of rich media in there. Some of them even have videos. So it's important, but there's a problem. So John, one of the problems is that, we've only got two pairs of hands and we can only output so much. So I think it was about 14 years ago, you started working on a solution. So the solution was to do more, wasn't it? So you kind of use one hand on each machine and do twice as much. And if you want to do 4 times the output, you do 4 times the work, 4 times the effort, 4 times as much time. Was that the kind of solution you worked on?
No, absolutely not.
No. So what kind of solutions did you work on? And so you have a long history of solutions that produce power in the hands of the people who use them.
Software automation and crowdsourcing, that's the only way to do it. You either get software to give you all those extra hands, or you include a lot of other people to pre-create content using their hands. So you definitely have to have either a lot of people or a lot of software involved.
With the people, because obviously I know the numbers, but with the people that you used to crowdsource, as you've termed it, to do the work for you, how cheap was that?
It was not cheap at all. It was very expensive to have the large amounts of content that we created for the various tools that we use, including a lot of the content that's in TextSuite, because TextSuite includes content from Article Builder. I can tell you Article Builder was 6 figures to build that database. It's very expensive because you have to have all these humans writing all this content that gets put into a database. Not cheap. Not just anyone could have that done.
No, and to be fair, very few people would want to, even if they had that kind of spare money. So there are 2 issues to deal with. One is most of us don't have that kind of money as pocket change, and most of us don't have that kind of intent and stamina, if we're honest. Because I know Article Builder took a huge amount of work to create. So in effect, what we're talking about is if you use a suite of tools, you can do a little bit more than you can do on your own. If you use a screwdriver, it's easier than trying to screw something into a piece of wood by hand. It's almost impossible. You could probably do it if you're strong enough, but it wouldn't be a very good joint. And so you use a tool, and a suite of tools gives you more options, almost like a Swiss Army knife. But that is limited in what it can do. So one of the points about tools is that you should choose a good selection of tools, and they should be high quality tools. And the more tools you have in your kit bag, the more you can achieve, but the faster you can achieve it. If anybody's ever assembled flat pack furniture, and you've tried to use a manual screwdriver to put the desk or table or whatever together, and there's like 5 million screws, it probably takes you longer than 10 minutes. If you use a power driver, you can assemble that furniture infinitely quicker because the tool gives you leverage, whichever way you want to say it. It gives you enhanced power. It gives you a mechanical advantage. And so you can achieve the same quicker with less physical effort, and we all understand that when it's a physical tool, a hammer, a chisel, a wrench, a screwdriver. We understand that, but the same is true of software. So here's a question for you. When you're doing things manually, you've got a certain speed. If you could use automation or a suite of tools to do the same amount of work in less time, it would have the impact of increasing your overall speed. And that's a massive difference between using automation and doing things manually. In whatever time you spend creating your content, whether that's 10 minutes or 10 hours, you will achieve 100% of what you can do yourself. If you use automation, you can multiply your efforts manyfold. So at this point, I think what we should do is actually show you a demonstration of the tool in action. So we're going to do that now. Let me just...
One thing I want to do while you're loading up the tool is I want to make it clear to everyone that TextSuite, between the built-in content from PLR content, the built-in content that Eamon's going to show you from the templates, and the built-in content from Article Builder, total, that content is worth well over $500,000. is very expensive. You have a massive, massive, massive database of content at your disposal that if you were to pay for that on your own would cost you well over $500,000. So that is what you're getting for the very low entry price on top of everything else that you're going to see that we're going to show you. So just keep that in mind as we go through this.
And the end result, let's be clear about what we're trying to achieve and what you're trying to achieve. Nobody cares really that you have pretty images. Nobody cares really that there's a lot of content. Nobody cares that it cost John $500,000 to buy this content. What people care about, if we're really honest with each other, is can it help you to succeed online and can it help you to make money? We're here to tell you that yes, it can, but there's a big if. It will help you if you use it. And we know that some people will buy services and then not use them. But because this is easy to use, there's kind of no excuse for not using it. It's been made to be very simple, as you're going to see in a moment. I just want to mention very quickly, Meg made a comment that her husband assembled some flat pack furniture and he used a manual screwdriver and actually he suffered a swollen elbow. He was actually sort of damaged his arm and it was about 3 months of pain. So there is pain in doing things manually. Fortunately, when you're doing content like this, hopefully you don't damage your elbow, but you know, if you're typing a lot, you could get repetitive strain injury, which is a possibility. So the more you can do in less time with less effort, the better it is all round in terms of stress, in terms of health, in terms of output, in terms of results. So what we're looking at is the inside of TextSuite. Very simple, very clean, as you can see. This particular project that I have here is one that I did for making the tutorial videos. Now, each of the pages, each of the sections has the little thing up here which gives you the video for that section. So you can have a look for that specific section and just get the information you need in how to deal with it. We also have a help and training section. So if you want to look at the entire thing, this video shows you from start to finish how to deal with TextSuite in every single tool, and it gives you tips and techniques on the way to do that. So there's a lot of information in there. And of course, if you have questions, you can ask us. So the heart of this really is the project. Now, you can use the projects, and we create a new one just by clicking here, in a variety of ways. You may be involved in multiple niches, and you know, some of your sites are weight loss, some are about, I don't know, gardening, some might be about knitting, or some might be about photography. You can organize your content by topic if you want to. If you're selling the content, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but anybody who gets hold of TextSuite is allowed to sell the content they create. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you can use this as a revenue stream as well. You can put individual client names in here and then keep all their work together. If you wanted to create some PLR to sell on as a PLR provider, private label rights is what PLR means. You might want to, for each of these, you might want to create a project to keep all that content together. You can put whatever you want in here, organize it any way you like. Let me show you just a simple example, demo on live webinar. So the description just needs to be, you know, whatever will remind you of what this is about. So create the project, nice and simple. Now there's nothing in that at the moment, so I can add things in here very quickly. This kind of paper icon is where we start adding articles. Now, I'm going to go slowly here because I want you to see just what there is. There are 5 distinct types of article. I'm going to start with research article because we haven't seen anything quite like this on the web. It's very powerful. Now, John, when I click on here to create a new article of research article type, we're going to get a layout that you just threw together and kind of made up as you went along. Is that right?
No, if only I were that smart. This layout is actually inspired by the fastest writer, professional writer I have ever known. He is so fast that other writers accused him in the past of cheating the system by sharing his account with a bunch of other people. That's how fast, because they could not believe that he was able to write this fast until he sat down and showed us his complete system for how he does it. So I was inspired by that system and laid out what you see here to accomplish all the things that he was having to do with dozens of different browser windows all in one place where you can click and see everything right in front of you all at once. So a lot of time, research, and effort went into this interface.
Why is it a big deal to have it all on one page?
It's a big deal because everything saves time. Every click, every time you have to go to a new window and a new browser and look and go back and scroll and move, all of that costs you time, and that time adds up over the course of the article to minutes, to hours, especially if you write every day. It becomes many, many hours, dozens, hundreds of hours a year you're using with clicking and scrolling and moving and looking and finding and searching that you don't spend with TextSuite. So it saves you an enormous amount of time. Everything in the system is designed to save you time.
That's a big point, saving time, but I think there's another one, a bigger one personally. And I want to explain it this way. We know that if people land on a web page that takes too long to load, they tend to click away. We know that, and on our own sites we try to make them as fast and responding as fast as they can because it makes more money. We know that for a fact. There's no question of that. A faster responding page makes more money. If you're doing research and it's bitty and segregated and you're checking all over, you are more likely to give up simply because this is how we are as human beings. When something is all fragmented and awkward and inconvenient and physically unpleasant to handle, it's easier to walk away and think, well, I'll come back to it later. So by making it time-saving here, it actually has a knock-on effect that you're more likely to complete what you start. And remember, until you publish something, it doesn't count. You can have as many ideas in your head as you like. It doesn't count. What you get out there is what counts, because until it's live on the web, nobody can access it, nobody can take advantage of it, and nobody can earn you money by clicking on your advertising within the content. So I'm going to show you the various sections here. I'm going to start with the left-hand side, because this is where
Let
we
me
start.
just throw in real quick that Poppy just commented that this is her favorite part of TextSuite.
Yeah, it's powerful. It really
it is. If you write custom from scratch research content, you can't beat it. I've never seen anything else that does this.
Mike actually just said he purchased this yesterday, played with it for an hour. His comment verbatim is, wow, what a powerful tool. And it really is. It really is. I mean, you know, and some of the things we're going to show you, some people might not have thought of, but it's incredibly powerful. So we have keywords and trends. Now, trends is USA social media. It's updated on the hour, as you can see, and it's kind of the hot topics right now. So let's just say you don't know what to write about. Click on load trends and let's have a look what comes up. So there's all kinds of things here. We can scroll down and have a look, and if you see anything that catches your eye, well, Krispy Kreme catching my eye. But the Hyperloop, which is what's his name, Elon Musk guy, they've just started testing the special pods that can go like 650 miles an hour, which is his suggestion for making coast-to-coast travel quicker and reducing congestion on the road. So they're testing it. So that's interesting to me. It's a hot topic right now, but it may not be something I can monetize. So I can keep scrolling down. There's an interesting one. If I had a blog about how to beat cigarette addiction, that would be something of interest to me, because the fact that the age of smoking has been raised in Maine suggests that the officials there are considering the health benefits. So I would maybe do some research on that. And then we just keep working our way down until we find anything. And remember, hourly this will change. So what is hot right now may change in an hour. But if you find something that you like, that's great. I'm going to put in, well, we'll put in Hyperloop and see how much information there is. So we've got a single topic for Hyperloop. If I wanted to write about this, and I might have a tech blog or I might have a general news blog, if I click on the plus sign here, it's going to throw that as a topic or a heading or a subsection into the writing section over here. So when I click on that, just watch what happens. So now I've got the Hyperloop, that's the kind of the heading for this section, and the research term has been completed for me, and it's identified it as a news item. I could look on the web generally, I could look in the PLR database, but because this is one of the trends, it's already identified it as such, and it's a news item. Now, I'm not going to use this because I don't have a blog really that would be relevant, but it's of interest to me personally, and I've added that as a topic. Let me just get rid of it. So if you find trends here, let's just show them all again. If you find trends that are relevant to you, great, you can add them into the writing section. If you find some that give you ideas, that's great, because you can then move to the keyword section. So if you start with a blank page and you have no idea what to write about, you can start getting some ideas by looking at this and just working your way down. This one's about photography. This is Justin Bieber, so music. This one, I've no idea what it's about, but
It's Krispy Kreme. It's got to be good.
Well, I know, absolutely, but whether they're saying, there's a new one, or it's bad for your health, or it's good for your health, I don't know. But if I have a weight loss, well, I do have a weight loss blog, I could do some research in that. So actually, I will do it very quickly. I've added it. Let's do some research. Just click here, and what I will get is the top 10 sites for that keyword. For the news trend, and each of these tabs is one of the different sites, and there is information in here that I can have a look. So there's a new one. Okay, so it's a new flavor. Chocolate icing, chocolate peanut. Wow.
I will be going to Krispy Kreme tomorrow, everybody.
Now, if I were writing for this about my weight loss blog, I might make it kind of a jokey one. So what I would do for this particular topic or subsection, I would simply copy the bits of content in here, highlight it, then click on right click and copy, right click and paste, and just keep building it up. And I'm looking for, I like that text there, that looks good to me. I'm looking for content and text that I like the sound of. It's as simple as that. That to me looks interesting because it does sound divine, but I don't think it's particularly healthy. So I could actually start the topic by saying, look, this is what's in it. There's a lot of fanfare about it. People are getting very excited. It sounds delicious, but is it good for you? And then we could start looking at the calorie count. We could say, how do you deal with your cravings? I could use this as an introduction to a diet plan. I could use this as an introduction to an affiliate product that helps people with willpower for weight loss. I could use this as the introduction to Weight Watchers, which has an online membership. So even though it's really about go and eat 1,000 calories per mouthful, I could turn this into the beginnings of a weight loss article. And all I'm doing is looking for bits of content in here that I like. That one, I'm going to show you how I would deal with that in a second, because I like the content, but I would change it slightly. So I would rewrite this. So this is saying make sure you satisfy your taste buds. Friday's around the corner. This is delicious. We'll rewrite that later. But essentially what we're going to do is look for inspiration in the content. And that's just a single section. Now I can also add in content from keywords. So let's have a look at calorie count, because that would be relevant, wouldn't it, when we're talking about donuts. I'm going to search in the US, but if you wanted to look for UK results, German, French, Australian, Canadian, that's fine. Let's find subtopics. And I'm going to get a whole list of them down here, a lot of them, as you can see. And we have a couple of columns. One is the number of searches per month for that particular phrase. The other is cost per click. The cost per click and the searches are metrics that help you to decide which of these topics may be useful for you. I don't want to get too technical because there's training about all this, but essentially the information you need to decide which is the best topic to put in your content is right in front of you. Now, how easy is that? So it's not an accident that this information is here, is it, John?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's all part of the system that's been very well thought out from the beginning.
Now we've got avocado, banana, Big Mac. If I wanted to find anything about a donut in here, because there's clearly a lot of results I can see from the scroll bar, is there a quick way to do that?
Yeah, if it happens to be in there, you can just put that word into the search box there.
So this is like a filter, which will help me to make it more manageable. So the list is going to be more manageable. So there isn't a donut, but let me see if there's Krispy Kreme. No, okay.
Remember, these are the most popular keywords related to that. So if you search for like app, Because there's going to be a lot that talks about
Oh,
app.
so
It's going to show
tons
you
of,
all the app-based keywords. Yeah.
yeah, okay. So I can look at those as another topic. Now, if I want to, I can also click on the search column here, and I can go from the lowest search count per month or the highest, whichever I prefer. The highest, everybody wants the highest, of course, but you've got to take into account whether you've got good content for that. So when we look at the cost per click, I can see 12,000 is a lot of searches every month, John, but with a cost per click of 31 cents, what does that mean to me?
That means that the advertisers are willing to pay 31 cents per visitor, which is pretty low. So the higher that number, the more valuable those keywords are to the advertiser, which means the more money they're making off of the things they're selling by bidding on those keywords. So the higher that number, the more, especially if you use AdSense or affiliate programs or whatever,
Yeah,
the more valuable your visitors are going to be if that's what you're ranking for. If people are looking for those keywords when they land on your page, they are worth roughly that much money per visitors,
yeah.
which is a lot. I mean, like if you go in anything over $1 is great.
Now I'm seeing Wendy's calorie count is $1.36. So
Mhm.
what I'm saying is kind of a low figure here is suggesting that there isn't enough money in the marketplace for advertisers to pay for advertising. So I may want to choose a different keyword. And $1.36 is infinitely better than 31 cents. And it's still a good number, nearly 3,000 searches a month. So if I add this to my topics on the right-hand side, all I have to do is click the button. Did I click it? Yeah. It might not be appearing because it's very wide. So let me just click it again and see if I can get it in there.
Try the one just above it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it out. I think it was because it was too wide to fit on with that tab, wasn't it?
No, it's not. I know what it is. Don't sweat it. Just,
Oh, it's the apostrophe. Yeah,
I know what it is. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll
So
take
yeah, okay. So when we add these in, what we can do is research again and then start adding in some more topics. So how to count calories. And that's 3,600 people a month are searching for that. They want to know how to count calories. That sounds like a perfect affiliate promotion possibility to me because people are wanting to learn how to do something. So I've clicked on research. I'm choosing web. Remember, you have 3 options. And I've got 10 sites here. And that content looks like a good starting point to me. So I'm just going to copy and paste it in here. And we work our way through. Okay, so you look at as many of these as you want to. Some experts say it's not about, oh, I can't quite like that one. Yeah. So as I build up the content, what I'm doing, all I'm doing, is looking for things that interest me. And then I can rewrite it and put it on my blog or add it into a report or whatever it may be. I might make it part of an email newsletter. If you have a mailing list, you can use content. If you think about it, an email newsletter is just content. You've got to get it from somewhere. You can use this to create content for your newsletters. So we just keep building this up, and I'm going to use a different topic in a moment. But when we've done that, we can write an introduction here. You just type whatever your introduction is. So for how to count calories, maybe something simple like, in this article, I'll show you the best modern apps for counting calories. That's an introduction. It's that simple. It took a few seconds, right? We can write a conclusion. Now, I'm going to write that now, even though I haven't written the middle of the article. One of the things I find useful personally, and you might want to try this because it's something that may help you, if you write the introduction and a conclusion, when you're doing your research, your brain is primed for looking for information that supports the introduction and conclusion. So you're no longer working off a blank sheet. You kind of have a bit of a structure in your head already. So you're building from the outside in. So John, when you do your coding and so on, you don't start at the beginning and work in a linear way. You sometimes, you do different bits and then kind of add bits on. And this is the same thing, isn't it? It's kind of making life easier by priming the pump, I think is the phrase people use. You're priming your brain to be thinking about things in the background while you're still working on them.
That's correct. I definitely do not do everything in a linear way.
Yeah. And I find, in fact, for me personally, if I'm trying to write that way, the number of times I find that I've written something at the beginning that actually only makes sense at the end because my mind internally is jumping about is nearly every time. But doing it this way, I'm priming my brain. So I've got an introduction. I'm going to show you modern apps. I've got a conclusion. There is an app for everyone. So whether, just as an example, you use iPhones or Android phones, there is a perfect app for you. Okay, so now my brain is primed that I'm going to be looking at apps on these two different platforms and trying to show people a similarity between whether you're running iOS on an iPhone or using Android and so on. So admittedly, how to count calories isn't specifically about an app. I can filter my content on the left, the research, remember, by typing in the word app, and there's an app, best calorie counting app, best app for. So there's lots of research here for me to add in. So on the how to count calories, let's see if there's anything really interesting. We've got some in already. Have a quick look. This I like. Correctly tracking and counting is an effortless way to go about it. That I think is important because anybody wanting to use an app is looking for simplicity and information that's with them all the time because they have their smart device with them, right? So I think that would be a great point to emphasize that it's an effortless way to go about tracking your calories. And I have some personal experience of the apps because, you know, weight loss has always been an issue for me, and there are some great ones out there. So some of them are easier than others. And if I can point people to the ones that are easy, how fantastic. So right now, I've only got a single topic here, or subtopic, paragraph heading, if you want to call it that. Let's just find another one. Best calorie counting app. Yep, I'm going to click on that. I like it. And any others? Yeah. No, I'll stick with that for now. So what's happened when I highlight this tab is that the keyword has been pre-populated for me, and I do research and I can find the top 10 items, sites, and then look at the information that they give me. So let me just click on that now and see what we get. Now I like that one because if you track your calories, you're going to keep the weight off for longer. I think that's an important point to make. So I'm taking that in. 5 best calories. MyFitnessPal. That's another one that seems very relevant to me, and I've used that, so I happen to know how good it is. Okay, I'm just going to work my way down. This is important because 5 million foods for MyFitnessPal, that means it's pretty much likely to cover every food you're ever likely to eat. And therefore, if you're out using your smart device, you go out for a meal with friends or family, and you look up a particular dish at a certain restaurant, there's a good chance that you'll get a hit and you'll be able to put the calories into your personal tracker instantly. Can you imagine how much difference that makes to somebody? So already this is giving me all kinds of ideas about what I should be telling people. So it's not just a content creation tool, it's a content research and idea generation tool. We've got a million questions already, which we're going to get to shortly for everyone. So at the moment, we'll just leave the questions pending if that's okay with you, with everyone. So just that on its own is pretty good. Now I could work on some more topics. Let's have a look. Banana calorie count. I don't know if that would fit in the kind of article I'm thinking about because we're talking about apps. Caloriecount.com is an online one. Okay, that might be interesting. Donut. Okay, I'm going to put that in. It's not really specifically about an app, but you know, we were talking about donuts earlier. So let me hit the research button, and it will give me the top 10 sites related to donut calorie counts. So let's have a look. Oh, I like this. Yeah, I like this comment. When it comes to truth in advertising, there isn't a lot of it. Why do I like that? Let me explain to you why I'm doing that. And this will give you an idea of the type of methodology you can use. I'm going to be writing an article based on what I'm showing you on recommending specific apps for iPhones and Android devices for calorie tracking. Now, some of those apps are going to claim the world, aren't they? They're going to say you will lose more weight more quickly than anybody else on the planet if you just send your $5 to me for this wonderful new app. Well, we know that a lot of that advertising is going to be bunkum. So this is a great comment to make. And rather than talking about a donut calorie count, I might change the point about this to be beware of advertising, because it may not necessarily be 100% accurate. That fits in with what I'm doing. I'm recommending to people products that may have advertising that's a bit hypey. And so I can educate them, inform them, and assist them to make a good decision by recommending that they, just pay a little bit less attention to the advertising, maybe look at reviews and so on. This has given me some ideas. That's a ton of ideas. I could almost write an entire article from that one sentence. So at this point, I'm going to pause in a second and we'll start taking some questions. I've already seen a dozen, maybe 15 ideas for where I can take this article. And even though it's only been a couple of minutes, if you take out the talking, it's very fast and it's generated ideas. And we started, if you remember, with no idea at all. So John, I'm going to just have to mute while I cough for a second. Is there anything you want to add about what I've been saying?
No, I think you've covered it really well. I will say, however, that I found the problem and fixed it while you were talking about the Wendy's thing, so that's good for everybody to know. But otherwise, no, what I've found about this tool, and April just made a comment that she found it very easy to use. She's one of our Learn from John members, so she's got access to it already. And it's designed to save time. Everything that you do saves time. We talk a lot, and so it takes longer for us to build this, but you'll find that the more you use it, the quicker and the quicker and the quicker it goes. So it's definitely something that's going to give you an advantage over other people who are writing all of their content manually and keeping dozens of tabs open with their research.
One of the things, I've got a question here which I think is important to cover. As I've been looking at this, I changed my mind about what I wanted to write about. And that's fine, because I saw something more interesting to me. Steve is asking, what happened to the stuff about Krispy Kreme? I deleted it and changed my mind. I did some more research and I started looking at other things. One of the things about the content generation idea that is in here is that it can lead you on a process of discovery that will take you from the initial idea to something that's better. Okay, I could make fun about Krispy Kreme donuts having this new Friday launch of whatever it was, 16,000 calories worth of chocolate. And okay, that would be kind of funny. But I don't know how much use it would have in general, and it would soon become dated because the launch date of this new donut is a single day. 6 months from now, that article is going to be dated. Now, this is not a dating article because apps are going to be around for a long time. MyFitnessPal has been around for years and so on. So to me, this article is stickier. It's what we call evergreen. Now, when I started, look, I just made up a topic to go with. The content generation ideas I'm seeing have led me to a better article idea. And so, this tool does so many different things. We're never going to be able to show you everything in 2 hours. But honestly, the huge amount of information you're seeing all in one place, the point that John made, it's all in one place. Look how quickly and easily I've gone through 2 separate ideas, both of which were okay, but this one is now more refined, it's got more possibility, it's more evergreen. That is fantastic, right? And I'd love to say that this is just me being brilliant. It is. But, joking aside, these ideas were suggested to me. I didn't have to spend a ton of time and effort thinking. It's right in front of me. I mean, that is as simple as it can get. And I've got a topic now that I'm seeing. Well, you could hear the way I was speaking. I was getting enthused by the topics I was seeing. And so that enthusiasm means I'm going to keep working, right? So if we have a research topic here for a particular tab, and we put something into here, that will stay there. And then if I do some more research from this little block here, and we get some new tabs at the bottom, I can look at those and add into this section without losing this. But if I delete the section, because I've changed my mind, then of course this topic will delete the associated content. So you can build on this as much as you want to, or if you decide to change your mind, you can delete it. And by the way, please do not be afraid to delete if you come up with something better, because it's so quick and easy to do. You might as well be willing to get rid of the stuff that's kind of second best so that you keep what is first best. And you will find that happens. And as you get more practiced with this, you'll do it quicker, of course, and you'll have fewer false starts and so on. So you do have auto save on this automatically checked, but you can save at any time by clicking here. Oh, I forgot to put a title, I beg your pardon. So apps for calorie tracking. So let's just save that. So now I've got that saved. It tells me up here that it's been saved. I'm safe, and I can come to that later. And that has an important knock-on effect. If I want to create a new subsection myself manually, I can just click on the plus sign here, and let's say a subtopic of desktop apps. Because some people might want to track their calories at home on their desktop, right? So I could put a section in here for that. I can download the completed article. I wouldn't at this stage because I haven't rewritten yet. I can grammar check, and I can copy escape check. I wouldn't do that personally because I'm going to do something else with it in a moment. So I don't have much in here. I've only put a couple of contents, as you see. The reason for that is that if you sit watching me type for 2 hours, it's going to get boring, okay? So you just have to imagine that I've done a lot more research. I just want to show you the basics of this. So I've saved that. Now let's go back to our project. What I can do for this particular project is add an article of a different type. I've done the research one, and remember, I stopped quickly because I don't want you to sit watching me type for an hour. If I now do a rewrite article, here's one of the amazing powers in this system that most people will not get how powerful this is, and I want to make sure we explain this for you. So we're going to take this a little bit slowly. I'm going to create the content, and I'm going to import an article. Now, this allows me to import from anything I've created within a project. I can upload from a file on my machine. So if I bought some articles from somebody and I've got a text file on my disk, I can upload from there. All this is covered in the training videos, by the way. You see this play button here? That will give you the video for each section. So this video tells you how to import an article. So if you're ever stuck, just click on the play button. You can import an article from our PLR database. Huge number of categories, 100,000 PLR articles. You can choose subcategories, you specify a keyword, very, very powerful. You can also import from Article Builder. Now I need to check with you, John, because we've got a few questions about this. Included within TextSuite, they don't get the full Article Builder account. They don't get a separate account with Article Builder, do they?
No, it just includes the database of content from Article Builder.
Yeah, so in other words, you can pull in an article from Article Builder and use that as an import. But the My Articles section is extremely powerful because what it does is allow you to reuse and repurpose any article you have ever created within this system. And why that's so powerful will become apparent a little bit later because we're going to talk more about repurposing. But at the moment I've got the two projects. This is the one we've created today to show you. And I've got a single article in it, so I'm going to import that just like this. And what it's done now is pull in the original content that I chose to inspire me. When I click on the rewrite article, watch what happens. It breaks it down for me, and what I can do is rewrite each section at a time. Now, rewriting is something very simple if you do it the right way, and it's very unpleasant and hard work if you do it the wrong way. John, what's the wrong way to do it?
Oh, the wrong way is to try to rewrite the entire thing at once or even a paragraph at a time. That's definitely, it seems daunting and overwhelming when you try to do it that way.
Yeah. Now, if we do it like this, where we just break things up, we've only really got a single thing to think about at a time, haven't we? Now, the conclusion, the introduction I'm happy with because that was something I typed in. So this particular, that was the title, that's the introduction. I'm keeping those as they were. Here's the first thought. To lose weight, you need to eat fewer calories than you burn. In theory, this sounds simple. Let me put that in my own words. The theory is simple. All you have to do is eat less. So the theory is brain, oh, I can't type, dead simple. All you have to do is eat less. That's the same as this, isn't it? It's the same meaning, it's the same idea, but it's different wording. Now the next one, according to some experts, losing weight isn't about caloric intake, but changing the type of foods you eat. Okay, so we could rewrite that simply by saying change the type of food you eat, and it's more effective than counting calories, according to some. That's the same idea, isn't it? And then correctly tracking is the most surefire, effortless way. I can put this in the same sentence, or I can skip to the next one, but that idea is an important one to me, because what I want to do in this article is persuade people that they need to use a tracking application, because if I persuade them of that, they may take my recommendation on which one to buy from the App Store, and therefore I might get some commission. So you can see why that's important to me, but I'm going to change the way I phrase it. So let's have a look. Correctly counting and tracking is an effortless way. One of the modern no-effort solutions to losing weight is using your smartphone to track what you eat. That's the same idea, isn't it, in different words? And that was easy because I'm only thinking about one thing at a time. Here's another one. Research shows that people who do this lose more weight. You are more likely to be successful losing weight if you do this. It's that simple. The research proves it. Again,
I really like the rewriter because, you know, the saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? It really does break it down into one bite at a time to make it very easy for you to do. Something that would seem daunting if you had to do the whole thing at once or were just staring at it like you had to do the whole thing at once.
Well,
it's broken down into bite-sized chunks.
And anybody can do this, and let's prove it right now.
Yeah.
The next sentence, when it comes to truth in advertising, there is not a lot of it. I'd like to invite the audience. Somebody suggest different wording for that for me, please. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. But how could we say that same thing in a different way? Anybody who wants to make a suggestion, please do. And I'll just wait for a few seconds while people do that. If you're shy, that's fine. If you don't want to, but I know some of you will already have thought of a different way of saying this. And all we're doing is taking a single simple idea and putting it into our own words. One of the benefits of putting it into your own words, a side effect of doing this, the benefit is there's a consistent tone and voice in your articles. I've got an answer here from Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. Before I put that in, so John, why is it important to have that consistency of tone and voice in your articles?
Well, you want consistency because it sounds cohesive. It sounds like one solid piece. Otherwise, it sounds disjointed and it's hard to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got a comment here from Mona, which I quite like, actually. We've got about 5. There is more fluff than truth in advertising. And this is from my legal background. In fact, it's enshrined in law as perfectly legal. Now, for those of you who don't know why that's legal, there's something certainly in the UK which is called the advertiser's puff, which means you can have fluff and puffery and inflated claims, and it's expected in advertising. Now, you can't claim in a way that is misleading, but if you're outrageous, you can actually get away with it more, which is ridiculous. But so that's my personal background putting it in there. But that was a very simple rewrite of that particular topic. I'm going to preview the article now, and you can see that we have it here. So I haven't written the entire thing, I've just put a little bit of it. So I'm just going to save it quickly. And what I want to do now is copy check it. I'm not going to do the grammar check because my grammar is always perfect, as you can imagine. Yes. So let's do a copyscape check. So what it's doing now, if you have a Copyscape account, you have to have an account, You can put your details in. There's a special section in My Account up here. You can put in the special code they give you, and you can then check this to see if that article and that wording exists on the web. And it doesn't. Look, it's passed. We're okay. So the rewriting I've done has given me an article that passes the copyscape plagiarism check. It has my tone of voice. It has my kind of style. It would fit all the other articles that I put on my blog. There's a consistency there. And if you think about when people write to you with emails, you know what to expect, you get a tone of voice. If it were suddenly something different, it would be jarring. So when you've got content, it should really match if you can, so that people who like your content will then seek out other forms of it, and they will get the same kind of look and feel and taste, as it were. So that's now saved. So we've got a bunch of questions, but we're going to need to go to a break in a moment, because we did promise you a comfort break every hour. So let's have a look. Can we edit it further at this point? Grant is asking. Absolutely. One of the things about each article in here is that you can move it from one article type to the next and reuse it and do all kinds of things with it. We're going to look at formatting articles. We're going to look at templates. There's another 3 different article types that we can show you in a moment or two. Before we break, John, is there anything you want to mention to the audience?
Well, we've had a few people asking about using content from other articles as research, and is that allowed? And of course, I'm not a lawyer and I can't give you legal advice, but what I do know is the old saying that if you copy from one author, it's plagiarism. If you copy from 10, it's research. And basically what that's saying is, when you go, what do authors do? What do journalists do? What do writers do? They go and read other people's content and research, and they rewrite it into their own words with their own voice, and it becomes theirs. So that is precisely what TextSuite does. You start with the research tab if you're writing from scratch and not pulling one of the PL articles or Article Builder or something. You gather up all that research that you want, and then you rewrite it the way Eamon just showed you how it can be done. And then you check it with Copyscape if you have a Copyscape account, and you see, does that appear that way anywhere else on the web? And if it doesn't, you're good to go.
I actually did a blog post on prosperity the other day to show this. We were talking about happiness and money buying you time.
And Eamon, as you say that, give me just a second. I'll be right back. So
okay,
if you don't hear from me, you know why.
Yeah. So that particular topic was written on the BBC website in the UK. That's a very respected news site. But their original article was based on research by scientists, and they referenced a lot of that research. They had to do. So everybody who creates content has to start somewhere. You can write stuff yourself, but if you're researching specifics, calorie counts, how to lose weight, exercise routines, and so on, you have to start somewhere. Everybody who creates content does that. And if you look in the back of a book, there's usually a bibliography there, and that's where they've been to for their research material. Now, they might list it. You can list your sources if you want to, but the fact is, virtually every book, unless it's a work of fiction generally, every book with solid information has researched that information from somewhere else. Now, if you just take information exactly as it is and don't change it, that's a bit, not a very good idea. If you take information and copy the format exactly, the same layout, the same bullet points, the same headings and formatting, again, not a good idea. The idea is you're supposed to use the material to inspire you to create new content, and you've seen that's what we've been doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break. Let me just put that on screen, and we'll be back in 5 minutes and continue showing you a bit more about the research and just how quick you can do these things. It's very quick if you're not speaking. I'm doing a lot of talking, of course, to show you, but it's actually incredibly quick. So we'll see you in about 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back. I'll just check and see whether John's back, and then we'll continue. So we've got a ton of questions, which we're going to get to them as quickly as we can. Let me just, I'm just setting something up to answer one of the questions we had earlier, which I'll demonstrate. So what I've seen here is that this has passed copyscape. I've saved the article. That's all great. I can reuse it multiple times. And one of the questions we had was, can you, I'm just finding the question. Let's have a look.
It's FYI, and I'm here too.
Oh, hi, John. Yeah. So can we edit this article further? And yes, we can. So if I go back to the projects, and we haven't even talked about posting to blogs yet. There's so much this can do. It. I mean, it's really amazing. If I create a new article, so click on here, choose the type of article. I'm going to jump to the bottom because I want to show you the formatted article because this is great. Then create content. I can import the article from any of my projects, do the whole thing. And remember, you can import file uploads, PLR database, article builder, anything within here that has an import option allows you to import from any of these 4 possibilities. But I'm just looking at the moment at the articles we're creating ourselves. So I did the rewrite section here. We did some research. So this is the one I want to import. Now it's only a very small article, but let's have a look. So first thing I want to do is select this and make it bold. We have a formatting bar here, and we have all the usual kind of things you would expect: bold, italics, underline. We can change the font color, font sizes, the font family, and so on. Make it block quotes, do numbered lists. Numbered lists are important, which we'll talk about later. That's fine. You know, we can do, let's put this, I'll put some color here. Nice simple things like this. So I'm going to make it red and bold. So far so good, but it's still just content. It's just text, and that's fine. You know, it's good information. But let's make it a little bit prettier because we want to keep the engagement of the visitor. So if I click where I want an image to appear or a video, I just have to choose from this little Add Media option. It's a little bit like the toolbar in WordPress. And then choose some images. So let's have a look. So I'm going to put something that is related to apps. And I guess the word smartphone should bring something up. And I just have to find one that I like. That one. And then choose the size of the image I want. I'm going to choose small for this one because I don't really want it to be a big image. Click on Insert Image and it's there. And then we can format this. So if I click on the image, I've got a bunch of options. I'm just going to do this quickly. I want to make it left aligned, and you know, that's it. I'm happy with that as it is. I've now started to build up an article that has images and rich media that will keep the attention of the user. So far, nice and simple. Now let's have a look. I'll put another article here.
And just so people are aware, there's over 75,000 images available in TextSuite, and they're all Creative Commons 0. You can see that down at the bottom. And what that basically means is they are copyright free, so you can use them for commercial purposes, for personal purposes, without attribution.
And they're hosted, which actually has an important benefit, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So for this image, we're talking about smartphones, calorie tracking. What's the phrase? Weight scale. I don't know if that's weight scale or 2 words or 1 word, but that would be something that would be relevant to tracking. Yeah, I like that one. The first one's fine, and I'm going to make that medium. I'm just going to have to mute, excuse me. So I put that in there, but here's a little trick. When you're creating an article, particularly one that's longer than 100 words or so a good size article, what you want to do is draw the site visitor down and through the article. And if you're putting images in here, if you alternate the placement and the size, what you will do is you kind of visually draw them down the page. So they'll see more of your article, they'll scan more of it, and they'll read more of the subheadings and so on. John, when people are reading generally, what's the kind of thing they do? Do they read every single word? How do they how do people behave with a page of information, text, and so on?
They tend to scan. And so when there are images, images are very good at drawing the attention towards areas of the article that you want to make sure people don't miss.
Yeah. So one of the ways you can do that with subheadings, I haven't got any in here, but you know, the other way you can do it is with images. So let's have a look. This one is an interesting one. I think I would put that italics and bold just to make it stand out, and then the heading, perhaps I can add a heading in here. So even if I hadn't thought of this originally when I did the research, now that I'm excuse me, now that I'm coming back, I can add a bit more in if I want to. So this would be checking your weight, and I would want that as bold, and you might want it as I don't know, maybe a heading 1 or something like that. So what are we going to do? Make it a bit bigger? Yeah, I think 18, something like that. So I can format this. So in other words, you can edit this and make it look pretty and add images, and we can also add video. So let's just add a video then. So if we click on the Add Media and then choose the Video tab, we can find videos. So what should we do? Weight loss tracking. Let's see if there's anything specific to that phrase. Oh, weight loss diary. That's interesting. How to track your weight loss. How to track weight loss accurately. Calendar board. Weight loss tracker for ECLP. I don't know what ECLP is. I track my calories for a month. Now, the before and after there doesn't show a massive weight loss to me. The lady's just standing straight, so I wouldn't do that. But I like the idea of the headline there. Bullet journal I've been reading about recently. They're quite a good idea, but they're not really phone apps. Fitness tracker. That looks good to me. We've got this heavy person slimming down, so I'm going to put that in there. And I get the choice of size again, small, medium, large. Let's go for medium with it being a video. Insert the video, and I've got this centered. So I've got an article with some content, some images. There's not a lot of content because I've just put a little bit in here to show you rather than watch me type for an hour. It's just to give you an idea. And let's save that. So now we've got a few articles in here. If we look in the project, click on here, we can see them. So I started with the research. I then imported it into rewriting, and then I formatted. So far, so good. What can I do with that article? Well, I can download it and use it wherever I like. A formatted article, when you download it, you get the option, I'll show you, to save it to your disk, and there we go. And then you can pass it on if you have somebody who's doing the posting for you or creating web pages, because you can use this for HTML as well. Or you can use it yourself or just keep it as a permanent backup. But here's the real power of this. I can post this to my blog from this interface. Now you might think, well, it's easy to post to a blog, and you'd be right. But with this, I can check as many of the blogs as I want, and I've only set up 2 to show you, but you can have as many blogs in here as you want. For each one, you can choose the category that is relevant, yeah? And then import any of the articles you've got. I'm going to use the formatted one. And then click on Post Articles, and then in a second it's done. So that's actually on my blog, which originally was empty. This is just a demo blog, of course. So there's nothing on that blog. If I reload the page, and I have an article. And I have an article with images, with color, with different layouts to draw the eye further down. Let me just zoom out slightly so you can see it. And then I have a video. Hey guys, my name is Eric and I'm the Techie Agent. Today I'm going to teach. So absolutely great. I've got an article that has rich media, and I've only put a little bit of that in here, you know, but you can put as much as you want. I only put that little bit. Let me just edit again. But I could put as much as I want. I can have 100 images in here if it supports the content. I can have 1. I can have different sizes. If you wanted to, you can even make this resize to whatever you like. You can make it a small image, big image, and so on. So there's a lot of scope here. You can do the same with the videos. Tremendous power. Let me just save that quickly. Now, let's have a look at another type of article, because I said that you can send this article to multiple blogs. And if you have 50 weight loss blogs, you can send that article to all of them with a single click. Let that sink in for a moment. You can publish this to 50 blogs or 60 blogs or 10 blogs or 100 blogs with one click. All you have to do in here is add in your blog details. And you'd put the blog name so you know which blog it is. You put the blog URL, the username, the password. That's all you do. And then each of these blogs can be posted to one at a time or all together and so on. But you would be sending the same content to all of those blogs. So John, we have a particular type of article which is called a spin article. Can you give us a very, the cliff notes of what spin is before I show people how we do it?
Spinning is just a way of formatting an article so that you get a lot of variation inside the content, and it ends up producing multiple unique versions of the same basic article.
Now, I've done a lot of spinning, and I know some of the audience have done it, and it's tedious and unpleasant. And here's a computer joke for you. It's almost like coding in machine code. It's not fun, right? So anybody who knows what we're talking about when we say machine code, it's not something that people find physically pleasant to do. So spinning is not fun. It's effective, but it's not fun. So why is spinning in TextSuite going to be better than doing it any other way?
Because it's easier. It's designed to be infinitely easier than even the best spinning software out there.
Now let's have a look. Import the article, the rewrite article. Remember, you can import any of them, but this one is the one I want to rewrite. So I've got the basic article there that I'd rewritten. I'm going to spin the article now. Just click here. And what it does is give me this complex looking page. It looks really complex, doesn't it? It's not actually. What it's done is split each of the sentences out for me so that I can work on them one at a time. So what I'm going to do now is think of a new phrase for apps for calorie tracking and type it in here. So calorie tracking with smartphone apps. That was easy. That's simple. But that's only one variation. If I click here, I can put another variation. Modern apps for tracking caloric intake. Same idea. Let's add another. Best apps for tracking calories for weight loss. So now I have these options. And it was simple to do because I'm only thinking about a single idea. That's all. I can move on to the next idea here. Just click on the header, and what it will do is highlight this single idea, and I'll rewrite it. Let me show you what I think are the best apps to use today to lose weight. Essentially, it's the same idea as that top sentence, but I want to keep doing this as many times as I can. So I click on here, and I'll do another rewrite. Here are my pick of the best apps for tracking your calories today, 2017 edition. Same idea, different wording, and I can do the same again. In this blog post, I'll show you my top picks of, can't spell it, of calorie tracking apps. Now, at this point, is there anybody who thinks that's difficult to do? Because honestly, it's so simple to do. This is brain dead simple. I'm thinking about a single idea and putting in an option. That's all. Here's another theory. So that's got a little bit more in it. It's a longer paragraph, but I do the same thing. So all you need to do is eat less, right? Yeah, right. I've heard that before. And the experts keep telling me it. So it must be true.
Now, one thing I want to mention here is that Eamon's rewriting the entire paragraph at a time, which is perfectly acceptable, and you can do that, no problem. Once you've rewritten the paragraph, though, what he's hovering over there is you can rewrite the sentences, and that brings you into a little mini version of what the rewrite tool does. So you can then rewrite each sentence again and again and again too. So not only do you get multiple versions of each paragraph, you then get multiple versions of each sentence in each paragraph, and that's what we call a super spun document. That allows you to create huge numbers of unique articles from that one document. But it's very easy to do.
So I'll show you. Rewrite sentences, and it splits it for me, dead simple. So that's the original. Guess what? All you need to do is eat less, and you're good to go. Right? So that's a variation. Yeah, right. It's not that simple. Believe me, I've tried it. I've heard that before. Haven't you heard this before? Just because the experts say it does not make it so. Now, actually, what you can't see is what I'm doing. You can only see the typing. I'm not having to think at all because it's right in front of me and it's a single idea. I defy anybody to be unable to come up with a different way of saying this when you're dealing with a single idea or snippet at a time. It's so simple, it's untrue, because you're only dealing with a tiny segment of the text. Of course, there are better ways. It's 2017 after all. Oh, there we go. So I've rewritten this now, and I've also broken it down into sentences. Do this one, and again, just the same thing. There is good research to say eating different foods. No, that wasn't the idea. Say that tracking calories keeps you on track. And the advertising, funny enough, advertisers have a legal right, at least in the UK, to mislead you to a degree. So I've only done a single one here, but I could add another one and on and on and on and on. So I'll save that now. And here's another thing, because we're saving these. If I've got limited time today, I can come back tomorrow morning and add some more options. So let's pretend I've come back. I've been out for dinner. I've come back. I think I'll just add some more. Let me add a new one. Sad as it seems, advertisers may even have a legal right to be deceptive up to a point. And as I said to you before, it's called advertisers fluff. Now I could explain what that means, of course, and so on, but you know, in other words, what I'm showing is that I can come back and add to this as often as I want to. And every time I do, I increase the number of variations, the number of unique articles that this will produce for me. Now, we had a question about posting to your blog. Is it going to be duplicate content? Well, if you just post a basic article, yeah, of course it is. It's going to be duplicate content. It's going to be exactly the same. But if you come in here and we do this one, this is the spin one that I've just done. We post to blog and choose, if I had 10 blogs on here, if I chose all of them, and then import that spin article, you get this weird looking format, right? And doing this by hand, by the way, is not pleasant. But what it does is put an instruction into TextSuite, and the instruction does something very powerful, but you know, it's effectively very simple in terms of telling TextSuite what you want to do. This particular format says, for each blog, pick a new version and post that to the blog. That way, each of your blogs is going to get a new version which is different from the others. Now think about what that means. No duplicate content. So if you do have 10 blogs on weight loss and you create a spin article, which is easy to do, as you've seen, it only takes a few seconds when you're doing it without talking, then you can get multiple versions. Now I just want to come out of here for a second because I want to talk about what this spin means. John, this has, well, if we do the preview, the spin actually, this has a mathematical basis for how many versions you will get. So if I write 6 versions of the first sentence and 6 of the second and 6 of the third, let's just pretend we only have 3 sentences. Does that mean I get 18 versions?
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I
Oh, okay.
missed the
Yeah.
question.
So it's not as simple as adding them up. It's actually each is multiplying the other, isn't it? So it's
Yes.
6 times 6 times 6. So
Yeah,
it becomes hundreds
exactly.
of versions. Now,
And
John
in
mentioned
time,
something
it
called.
becomes thousands and thousands of versions. So it doesn't take that much if you're willing to put a little bit of extra time into it.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's say you took an hour to do this. Well, big deal. So what? If it takes you an hour to do this, and the first time you've done this, if you've never done it before, of course it's going to be slower. But if you can do an hour's work and output the equivalent of 12 hours work, honestly, is there anybody who would not take that amount of time magnification? Because if there is, I want to know about it, because I want to know why. Because if you can magnify what you do, and you take an hour's work and turn it into the equivalent of 12 hours or 16 hours or 18 hours, why wouldn't you do that? Because this is a tool that magnifies what you do. And if you think about what that means is you have to do something first to magnify it. So if you do nothing and you multiply it, it's still nothing. You do something and multiply it, it's more than something. It's bigger, it's more powerful. So this ability to spin is fantastic. Now, if we click on this sample thing here, I can see one of the versions. And if I wanted to, I can download that version so I could use it elsewhere, put it into a Word document or whatever it might be. Add it into a mail count, a mail newsletter. I can get a new version just by clicking here, and it will change. You'll see there's a different version, and I keep clicking it, but you know, we're getting different versions each time I do it. So the more you spin, so the more of these that you create, the better. And if you can only do 1 or 2 today, come back tomorrow when you've had a think about it, and you'll come up with some new ideas, and you'll increase the number of permutations of variation. And that means instead of having to write 100 articles yourself, you can write 1, then spin it, and turn out 100 articles, in effect getting 100 articles for the price of 1 or the time of 1. And when you get into real super spinning, by adding lots of these and doing the sentences, excuse me, by doing the paragraphs and the sentences, you get a real massive multiplication of your efforts. Now, when you look at the actual document type itself, all these brackets start to get very confusing. If you have to do this by hand, it's incredibly difficult. But doing it this way, one thought or idea at a time, very simple, extremely simple. John, I can see we've got a million questions. So, you know what's actually happened? Somebody was asking about this, and I've just realized I've turned Dragon dictation on. So it's typing all sorts of things in here, which somebody was asking, can you use something like Dragon dictation within this? And yes, you can. So let me just go back and show you. So let's redo this one, the apps for calorie tracking. Oh no, actually I'll do research. That might be better. I'll do a new research. So let's do a new research article. And I'm going to stick with weight loss because it's a topic I like and I know a lot about it. So that's a celebrity, Adele the singer. So I'm going to put that in there because that's a good number of searches and a good cost per click. That would be great. Let me do the research. So click on research and I get the top 10 sites. So let's just have a look. So what I'm seeing is content here, and I'm going to type in here using drag and dictate. I'll show you. I'm just going to dictate it by voice. Watch this. I think it will work in my browser, but let's have a look. Adele, is the well-known singer whose look has changed dramatically since she lost a lot of weight. Full stop. Most people will know that in the early days, Adele was a little bit heavier than she is now, and many people are wondering exactly what her secret was. Full stop. How easy is that? If you get a tool like Drag and Dictate and then combine it with something like TextSuite, wow, I mean, that's, fantastic. So let's look at something else. Oh, this is an interesting one and quite funny as well. So let me just do this. So there are certain foods she can't eat. Let's have a look. So I'm going to rewrite this entire 3-paragraph thing. Let's see how long it takes. And I know there are people who will time this for me, so let's have a look. So first thing I'm going to do is read this and see what the ideas are. Okay, I've got that. And now I'm going to dictate it. So, one of the interesting facts to know about Adele is that she is no longer allowed to eat curry when she's on tour, and this is for a particular reason, full stop. You might think that the reason is about health, especially given that she has lost so much weight recently, full stop. In fact, the real reason she's not allowed to eat curry on tour anymore is that it might affect her voice, and of course, as a professional singer, she wants to protect her main asset. Excuse me. Sorry about that, I'm having a bit of a coughing fit. So what I've got now is a rewrite of content that I've found on the web. And I'm getting, I'm starting to get good content already. And I could type this, I mean, I've used Drag and Dictate there just to answer the question that somebody asked, can you use a voice to text control application? Yes, you can, yeah. And that would make it very fast. So I haven't even looked at the other 8 tabs here, and there may be more content. So let's have a look. So she's got her age, the fact she's positive about her body image, she's not insecure. Those are things that might be very relevant to put into your content, and we can add that in. Again, I don't want to keep typing things in because watching me type is just boring. What I want to do is show you some of the features that we have here that give you incredible power. Now, let me go back to the project here. In fact, I'll just say that one quickly. I need a title, so I'll call that Adele, just so I don't lose the work. Very simple, very quick. Go back to my projects, add a new article, and we didn't yet look at the template article. This is so simple. Thousands of templates, dozens of categories to give you a kickstart. So I've been talking about weight loss. Let's have a look. I select the category, health. There we go, weight loss. And we've got 375 entries. Now, I'm not going to look through 38 pages to find these. I'm going to kind of narrow it down with the search filter. So let's have a look. We could use words like diet. I could use words like celebrity. Let me see if there's anything about a celebrity. Nope. So diet, that's showing me 32 entries from the filter. That's a more manageable. That one's interesting. Add spice to kickstart your diet. Let me have a look at what that says. Okay, so now I've got an article that talks about spicy foods. That is already very interesting to me because I could add this in to the Adele article and I would have a link from her being banned eating curry to an article about adding spice to your food to help your diet start more quickly. And again, all I need to do is rewrite these. So I can rewrite them directly in here. If you add spice to your food, it might just kick your diet into action.
And I know you like to rewrite directly in that box, and that's perfectly fine and acceptable.
Yeah.
But you could always just save it as is, drop it in the rewriter, and do it one sentence at a time too. So there's different ways to do it. Whichever way you prefer, it works great. If you're the kind of person that likes to work inside the editor like that, then hey, work inside the editor. If you like the one byte at a time approach, you can use the one byte at a time approach. Either way, it's going to result in the same thing that you can get the article rewritten easily.
And you can see now I've already started a rewrite article. That's how quick it was, what, 30 seconds? And I was listening to John while I was doing it, so it's very quick and easy to do. There's a couple of different ways to do anything in TextSuite, and everything you do can form the basis of the next thing that you do. Now look, most of you will probably stick to a particular niche or topic a lot of the time, so if you're working with weight loss, you're going to be doing a bunch of content on that. And each article that you do can be a springboard for the next one. Just think about the power that puts in terms of magnifying your output, because you've got, your brain is going to be working in optimum flow because you're thinking about the topic all the time. You're not chopping and changing. You're going to see things that give you ideas. I had no idea that thing about spicy food was going to appear, but look how wonderful that is as a segue from talking about Adele being banned from eating a spicy food.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's what I love about the templates, because we were talking earlier about the blank page and how difficult that is. Well, if you're having a blank page moment and you have no idea what to do, all you have to do is hop over to the templates and just do a quick search for a template. You don't even have to use a single word of what's written in the template. It just might trigger your creative juices to get you writing on a topic. You might end up with something completely different, but you'll never have to worry about having no idea of what to write about. And that by itself is an incredible time saver. And
And I'm
speaking of
just
time savers, while you're typing out there, I got to read what Poppy wrote in her comment. She said, "I probably shouldn't say." I'm going to read it verbatim. "I probably shouldn't say this, but for what it's worth, during the first hour of this webinar, I did the research and cleanup of 3 articles. I started the
fantastic.
I started the rewrite while still listening to Eamon, even though I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm telling you this because one article from start to finish would have taken me 4 to 5 hours. Thanks, John."
Fantastic.
Yep.
I'm going to use the same word there because I can't think of an option for metabolism, but it's good enough. So, I'm actually rewriting this now, and you can see how easy it is. You just a single item at a time. And you can skip some of these if you want to, because you could leave them as they are. You don't have to rewrite every single word. I'm going to do one more. What else is beneficial if you add spice to your food? So you get the idea. Now let's preview the articles. That's now different from what it was before. I've rewritten it in a few seconds, and well, you've heard that Poppy did that while she was on the webinar, paying rapt attention to what we were showing. But it really is incredibly simple, because the power is built into the tool to help you do things in a way that it matches the way human beings work. Because when we have a single focus and a single idea in our mind, it's very easy to think of it and come up with different wording and so on. If you have a huge block in front of you, I don't care how clever you are, that is difficult to do. Right? You can be really clever and it's still difficult to do. So if you want to do something easily, and the tool allows you to do it in a way that fits the way your brain works, that's power. And because you're doing it easily, the speed is incredible. I mean, you've seen the kind of things we've done. We've looked at all these different projects, and if we look at the articles I've done, I was talking about why I was doing all these. Look at these. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm talking and, breaking off to cough and, sneaking a glass of water when nobody's listening and things like that. If I were just doing this, it would be a lot quicker if I were not showing this to you. So one of the powers that TextSuite gives you is the ability to work in a way that is natural for you. And that means you work more effectively. And then you combine it with the magnification that you get within TextSuite. What might have taken you a week in the past might take you a day. It might take you 8 hours. It might take you 4 hours now. Of course, you're going to have to get used to it. We know that. And there is training in the help and training section here. As you can see, there's a full video walkthrough, shows you every single feature and how to use them. So if you get stuck, that's where you go first. And if you're still not sure, you can ask questions at the forum or the help desk. But each of these options is incredibly powerful on its own. But when you remember that you can take one article and feed it into the next, and then take that and feed it in the next. So like we did with the formatted article, and then we publish that to the blog. I mean, look at this. It's only a simple article example, but that's already got quite a lot of content on there and a couple of images and a video. This would be more engaging to a visitor than plain text on its own. Full
And
stop.
while we're on this, while you're showing this, I think this is a good time to mention this. These images are hosted by us. What that means is those images are actually linking to the TextSuite site, to the images on the TextSuite site. That means you do not have to pay for the bandwidth of all the visitors that download it. A lot of hosting has limits on how much bandwidth you can use, and images can be very large and require a lot of bandwidth to download. But you don't have to worry about that. We absorb that cost for you because we host the images for you. Not to mention, they're hosted on a super fast server through the Amazon cloud. So the response time is very quick.
Okay, that's great, John, but why does it matter that the response time is quick?
Because if the page loads slow, visitors tend to click away from it, especially images, because they want to see those eye-catching images right away. So you want that page to load quick, and it will load quick using our servers.
Now, is that theory, or do we know for a fact?
No, that's for a fact, because this Amazon cloud, very, very fast.
Well, the answer I was looking for is something slightly different. John may not want to reveal this, but I will, because I love doing this, throwing curveballs. We recently made a change to how some of the pages on our websites get loaded. And these are particularly for the ones some of you might have heard of Pinterest and Social Multiplier. We increased the speed by changing how things are loaded on that page. And there was an effect. John, I've forced you into it now. What was the effect when the speed of the page increased?
Oh, it dropped the server load down to about 20% of what it was before, and it increased our earnings per page immediately by about 10%.
That's the bit that counts. So can you just say that last bit again, please? Because that's the bit that counts.
Yeah, it increased the earnings per page immediately by about 10%.
We made more money. Now, that may seem not necessarily intuitive or obvious, but people click away from pages that are slow to load. And so anything you can do to make your page faster means they're more likely to stay on the page. And if they stay on the page, they're more likely to click on adverts, click on affiliate links, and so on. It's pretty basic common sense, but it's not necessarily obvious common sense. So anything you can do to increase the speed of your pages, generally speaking, all other things being equal, will translate directly to increased revenue. And so the super fast hosting that John's talking about helps to get these images on the page quicker. It reduces the bandwidth, so if you've got a slightly cheaper hosting plan, you're okay. So there's tremendous benefits from that. And you know, the bottom line is, if it helps you to make more money, you should be doing it. And really, you know, that's what we're focusing on, all of us. Let's kind of be honest about that. That's why we're here, to try and find ways to make money. And the things you
And
do, we've got a question. Sorry, go ahead, John.
yeah, just a couple of people are asking if they can download the images if they prefer to upload them to their own site. And yes, that's perfectly acceptable. If you prefer to download the images and upload them to your site and link to them directly on your site, that's perfectly okay. You're welcome to do that.
Now, what you can't do is just download 75,000 images, but you can, you know, when you look at the image, so let's just go in there.
You'd have to go to your site. You'd have to go to the site to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, you'd find the image, and then click it here, and then you can actually save the image from here. That's then on your machine, and then you can upload it to your site. So you can do that if you want to. It's more steps, and your site will likely be slower, so your choice, but you know, entirely your privilege. But we would recommend that you let it be hosted on the superfast servers. There is a benefit, but your choice. I know some people kind of prefer things under their own, in quotes, control and so on. So, you know, the tools that you have here are incredible. Okay, and what I want to do now is just show you what you get, okay, because it's pretty fantastic, okay. And I think, to be fair, I think you'd all agree that it's impressive, right? So let me ask you a couple of questions. Who's it for? And hopefully you can see the screen now. Let me just make sure that that's actually updated. Yes, it is. So it's for anyone with a website, and it's clearly for anyone trying to make money, and it's for anyone wanting to sell content to others. I think Leslie was making that point earlier in a comment. And it's also if you don't have enough time in the day. I know a lot of you are busy trying to put out your content in big quantities. You don't always have the time. So this is actually for anyone. And I do mean anyone. It's anybody at all, and that's a big crowd. So how do you take advantage? Well, I'm going to put a link in the chat box in a second. I'll do that now. And so all you do is you go to TextSuite, and I'm just trying to type that while I'm talking, and you can take advantage of the special offer that we have at the moment, which is $100 off. But I'm going to show you that, so let me just show you. So what do you get? Well, you get the 75,000 hosted images, and the benefit of it being hosted on the superfast service is that it minimizes your bandwidth and it improves your site responsiveness, it has a direct effect on your revenue. You also get access to 100,000 PLR articles in hundreds of categories. You also get access to article builder content. It's not a full article builder account. It is access to the content, and you can download an individual article builder article at a time for each of the articles you create. One of the most powerful features you get is auto posting to an unlimited number of WordPress blogs. Now, if you combine that with spinning, wow, that is incredible, because you can put out individual content to as many blogs as you like. And we know for a fact, because we've done it and we tested, if you have multiple sites with that content, you have multiple monetization options. And in fact, one of the things we're going to be doing now is creating more sites with essentially the same content that's been spun to give ourselves that same option. Now that TextSuite is finished and available, we're using it ourselves for exactly the same kind of thing. But I've got a question for you before I show you the pricing. So the question is very simple. Did you like the graphics in this webinar? Because we've had a lot of graphics. I've shown you in the early part tons of graphics. What did you think of them? Because each one of those graphics, there's just a few of them that you'll find inside TextSuite. 75,000 images will cover almost every situation you are likely to want to write about. Now the price of TextSuite is $197 annually, and that's pretty cheap. That's only 54 cents a day. If you bought a single good article, it can run you $20 quite easily if you get a good one.
Eamon, FYI, you
Yeah.
mistyped TextSuite
Oh,
in
did
the
I beg
chat
your
box,
pardon?
so
Yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
doing it.
send it the corrected version.
That's because I'm half blind and I need some new glasses. I'll let John put that in. Okay.
I put it in there.
TextSuite. Oh, I mistyped. So as you can see, that's one of the reasons I didn't want you to sit watching me type for 2 hours, because you'd see all those mistakes. So at 54 cents a day, I mean, that's an absolute bargain, quite honestly, anyway. But until midnight tomorrow, that's Friday, the 4th of August, you're going to save $100. Now, that means it's less than 27 cents a day, and it's locked in. So renewals are still at the lower price, 27 cents a day for all that power, unlimited usage. But there is a time limit, okay? So that deal and that saving, you have to take advantage within the next just about 24 hours. Midnight, no, sorry, it's about 29 hours. Midnight, Friday the 4th of August, that offer is gone. So if you want to stack up your savings, take advantage as quickly as you can. Now I want to talk about money, because one of the articles I wrote the other week on the Prosperity blog, which I used TextSuite to make, by the way, was about happiness. And this was based on research by scientists who've discovered that if you spend a little money to do things that, tasks that you don't like, or to free up some of your time, it actually seems to contribute to your well-being and happiness. Basically what they're saying is if you take your money and stick it in a drawer, it does nothing. It's worthless until you use it. If you plant it and nurture it and then enjoy the harvest, you can make use of your money. And when you're paying 27 cents a day for something as powerful as this, I mean, it's a no-brainer. But the savings disappear tomorrow at midnight, and that's an absolute, the saving disappears if you come to us an hour after the deadline and say, please, I missed it by an hour. We don't like doing it, but we've got to say, no, I'm sorry. The deadline is there for a reason. It's a serious deadline. Friday, August 4th at midnight, that saving of $100 and locked in, remember, is gone. Now, I've talked to you about this and John's talked to you about it. John, should the audience just believe you and me?
No, I never think anyone should just believe us. That's why we collect comments from other people.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of these because I think they're instructive. And Kimberly has mentioned in a comment to us that I'll read this for you. The program is one that takes the torture of writing an article down to being a simple task. It used to take several hours to write a well-researched article, and now the work is taking me just a few minutes to get the writing done and completed, including the rewrites to make the research articles completely unique. That's a pretty powerful statement, and I sympathize with the concept of torture of writing an article. It can be when you're staring at a blank page and you don't know where to start. Wow, that's hard. It's hard work. Sam L says if you generate written content for any niche, you can't go past this tool because it gives you the ability to write good content quickly and get it published. What I really love is I only need to go to one place now for content creation. No need to open multiple tabs, softwares, or applications to get going. I can research articles, use pre-written templates, find PLR, private label rights, and once the article is written, format it with images and videos. It's all there in an intuitive and easy to use interface. Love it. Now, that's the point John made. The interface is designed to save you time, and it's designed to work the way you work. It fits you. You don't have to fit it. That's a huge benefit in terms of productivity. Edward says, once again, John, you've exceeded my expectations with this awesome tool. I've started creating new websites and needed a lot of content on them quickly, and they need to be unique articles for them to stand out and look as original as possible. TextSuite is the closest means you can get next to buying handwritten content, which means this platform will give me what I need without spending a bundle to get my sites up and running, and even with images that I can use in the articles. Come on, are you kidding me? What tool can beat that? The point there is very good. The point about spending money to get these articles is a valid one because most of us do not have unlimited funds to buy articles, 20 articles a day or whatever. So Meg has a great point here. The first time she used it, it instantly found a previously unknown profitable keyword in a niche where I operate, and it gave the research required to write an authoritative article on it. I then tried it out on a subject I knew nothing about. It gave me plenty of material and easily found me a great picture and a great video with no trouble at all on my part. So far, I have 10 different projects all going with articles available in each one. It just makes creating fresh, interesting content so much easier, especially with all those great relevant graphics and videos. Nice one. The next one is from Glenn. It's a very short comment, but I think it says it all. Love all your software, John. It's a great comment, isn't it? Claudette saying TextSuite is a real time saver. Love it. Thank you for that. Is this?
I would like to take a moment to
Please.
thank a lot because people are buying TextSuite, and I know they're going to enjoy it. You know me, I like to thank people because they're buying
Before you
something from
do,
me, they're giving it a shot.
Before you
Yeah,
do
go
that,
ahead.
John, can I just say, if you're on the call today and you bought earlier, we may not mention your name in this shout out because there were so many who've already bought. We would be here in another 2 hours. So I think John can only really mention kind of the latest ones. And I apologize if you bought earlier. We would like to give you a shout out, but honestly, I know you don't all want to wait another 2 hours listening to us.
Yeah. Okay, all right. There's a bunch, so I want to go through all of them. I want to thank George, Claire, Kofo, Peter, Rick, Steve, Jonathan, Sven, Joyce, Joseph, Darren, Robert, Tim, Rochelle, Brad, Bill, Joe, John, Linda, Nancy, Ronald, Mike, I don't know how to say this one, Rockna, Adam, Randip, Saji, Deborah, Tracy, Richard, Kevin, Gerard, David, Michelle, Jim, Jill, Rob, Vladimir, Sadish, Richard, Joe, Ken, Daryl. Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. I'm glad that you guys all showed up tonight too.
Wow, that's a long list, and
Yeah,
just the ones you could.
and I'm
Yeah, no,
sure it's just going to keep coming in. And as people come in, I'll thank them because I really do appreciate people giving this a try. And I know it's going to work for them tremendously. We've had lots of people comment already that they're using the software. Some of our Prosperative members are on tonight, and they've talked about how much they love the software. We have the quotes. Oh, here's another one. This is Frick. Thank you, Frick. Appreciate that. I'm sure you'll get great use out of the software. But I just know with all my years of writing and all the writers I've paid over time and all the people I know who make a good living off of writing, that this tool will help you tremendously. It has been designed to help writers, people who are prolific, people who need to be prolific. It is designed for them. And there's something you didn't show. You should hop over to the tool again real quick because we didn't talk about this.
oh,
And
okay.
and go to the articles of any project. Something we didn't show. We talked about spinning a lot, but if you
Yeah.
click the button, that's the little circular one there, and you click that, any article that you wrote, it will automatically spin for you. It will push it through the best spinner, which is my tool that's dedicated only to spinning and has a massive database of words and phrases to spin in it. It will spin it for you and download it to your computer. So it gives you a big kickstart on what you can do with the articles and how many unique copies you can create.
One thing we would say though, because there are tools out there, spinning tools that will do that same kind of thing, is that the fully automatic spinning never gives you high quality content. It gets you a start. And so if you use that as a start and then edit it and make it better, you can have a high quality article that is in Spintax, that's the fancy name for it, that will then allow you to generate many copies, hundreds or possibly thousands in some cases, which retains the high quality. Now, spinning to retain high quality used to be extremely unpleasant to do because it was so difficult to manage when you're looking at all those curly brackets and so on. But the way it works within TextSuite is about as brain dead simple as you can get because it takes away the complexity of the thinking required to spin. Because all you're doing every time is rewriting a single thought, single sentence. And then you do another one if you want to, and then another. And if you want to, you skip it and move on to something else, and then come back an hour later. So it's a very, very good. Oh, Grant's asking, what would you do with 1,000 articles? Well, over time, you might want to publish 1,000 articles. If you have 100 blogs, that's only 10 articles per blog, or there are various things to do with it. You could also take some of the articles and add them into your own reports. You can make short reports, remember, from content. It doesn't have to go on the web. It could go into a report. It could go into a mail newsletter. Lots of different ways to use this content. And there are some ways I can't tell you about because John would be extremely annoyed if I told you, but I can tell you this. Coming up in the future, we'll be telling you about other ways that you can use it. We'll probably do a webinar about it and show. And there are some really tremendous possibilities. But the point is, until you have that content, you can't do anything with it. So, to create it easily in less time, that gives you more output with less effort. And if you've got less effort and you reuse that time to produce even more, remember that the content is what will drive your revenue. If you use the same time to produce more, then it's likely that your revenue will also increase in the same kind of proportion. It's a pretty simple formula, really. John, we've got a question or two. I'm just going to show that we're on questions. So if anybody has questions, we'll take a few. I know we've gone over time as usual. What's new?
I do, before you ask the question, I want to quote another person who
Please.
owns TechSuite. Wendy just wrote in saying, I love the software, already written 3 articles in 2 days. So
Fantastic.
it's already helped. And I know you might say, well, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you have a job and kids and laundry and so on, being able to find the time to work in content to build up your business can be very difficult, and TechSuite helps you save that time. And I also need to do another shout out to Sue, who also bought. So thank you very much, Sue. We appreciate that.
Fantastic. So we've got a question. Let's have a look. Yeah, Kenny's asking, and it's a good question. We promised everybody who attends the webinar a gift. So what are we going to be? And we'll do this manually. We're going to have to do this by emailing you the gift. What are we going to be giving everybody, John?
It's a
Excuse me.
package of 5,000 PLR private label rights articles that you can use as you see fit.
Now, whether you've bought TextSuite or not, that's our thank you for turning up and spending time with us and interacting. So you'll get that anyway. We have a list of everybody who's been on the webinar. That's what I meant to say. We'll look at the ones with the list of people who've attended, and we'll email you a link to download those articles. You will need to give us a couple of days because we've got to wait for the, we've got a few things to do first. So it'll be by the weekend, but we'll send it to you directly, and you'll be able to download that package. You can do with those what you like. We recommend that you use them on your own blogs and rewrite them and make good use of them, but we'll send them to you manually within a couple of days. Now, the offer that we're making, you're saving $100 right now until midnight tomorrow. When it's gone, that offer's gone. We can't really, and I'm saying this because every time we have a deadline, I get people on the help desk saying, well, can you make an exception? And we don't like saying no, but I have to say no. So, I'd prefer people to understand we do mean it. There is a deadline. It's midnight, Friday, August the 4th. 1 minute after midnight, that discount has disappeared. So if you want to save $100 right now and to lock that in for life, then you've got to be taking action before midnight, Friday, August 4th, tomorrow. If you're watching the replay, by the way, and you didn't attend the webinar live, you don't qualify for the PLR articles. That is a special bonus gift that we're giving to and we're grateful for the people who've joined us. The people who've joined us, we like your interaction, we like having you with us, so that's a gift just for you. So if it's a replay that you're watching and you weren't with us live, I'm sorry, we can't send that to you. And it may already be Friday when you watch the replay, so you may only have a few hours left to take advantage of this $100 saving. So we've run over time again, so let's just see if there are any last questions. But do remember that the clock is ticking, so please ask us anything that you want to ask, and I'll quickly check through to see if we've missed anything urgent. John, have you seen anything that we've missed?
I'm looking through. I don't see much that we haven't covered. We've had a few people asking, if I have TextSuite, do I need Article Builder? Or if I have TextSuite, do I need the Best Spinner? Well, each one of those serves a different purpose. So what you need to do is determine whether or not what you need to do most is accomplished by TextSuite or Article Builder or the Best Spinner. Now, I will say that TextSuite does a lot of what the other two do, but the other two tools are more specialized, whereas TextSuite is more general. It accomplishes a whole lot of things that writers need to do, generally speaking. Article Builder is more dedicated to people who need to produce mass content on tons of blogs, and the Best Spinner is designed more for people who like to manually go in and edit little tweaks and things. So personally, I think the TextSuite is best fitted for most people, but that's why we have different tools for different jobs. So you have to make that call yourself. And I got another shout out. I want to shout out to a bunch of people. Another shout out to Danny, to Felix, and to Monica. So thank you guys very much. We're sure you will enjoy the software, and I hope you get a lot of good use out of it.
Wow, the questions are going very quick. April would like to see, which tab did I click to find my articles within text? Okay, let me just show you. So when we go to the projects, this is where we organize at the top level. And within each of these, and you can have multiple projects, of course, live a bunch of articles. You might have 2 articles in a project, you might have 100. In fact, all we have to do is click on here, and we can see the list. So these are now articles in that particular project. If I want to look at the other one, the tutorial, and I click here, you can see a whole bunch of these here. Yeah, and so it's as simple as choosing the project page and then clicking on this little paper icon, and you'll get those. A couple of people are asking for the link to purchase again, John. If you'd put that in again, because I don't want to type the wrong thing. I do need some new glasses, actually.
All right, I just added it again. So just look for the last one that's marked 705 in the chat box.
And in fact, let me show you. So if we go to Textsuite.com, hopefully people can see that just up here. And I'm just going to stop the video. Let me do that.
While you're doing that, got another shout out. This to Priscilla. Thank you very much, Priscilla. I'm sure you'll enjoy the software.
Fantastic. Now, we didn't mention this on the call, but Robert was asking, if you have your own images and videos, can you import them? And the answer is yes, you can. So let me just show you. So when you go into here, let's have a look to the formatted one. If you add media, so I'm just going to put it here as an example. This URL, this thing here, is the link where your video or your image is stored. So if you have some online that you want to use yourself, you can just put it in from here. And so any assets that you have already, you can reuse. Excuse me, I had to just mute it again for a second. So let's just see if there are any more questions. I think we're getting pretty much to the end of the questions that we've already covered these. Yep, I think we've covered most of these, haven't we, John?
Yeah, it looks like it. A few people are asking how will we get the PLR articles that we promised. They'll be sent to the email address that you registered for the webinar for. So
yeah, anybody who has attended live, and even if you weren't here for the full 2 hours, if you've turned up, we're going to send you an email with a link to download the articles, and we'll get that to you as quickly as possible, but it could be Saturday. It may be tomorrow. It depends how fast we can get the replay online and so on. But realistically, if we said by Saturday, we know we can do it by then, but we'll try to do it sooner if possible. But we will contact you directly to send the gift to you. Are there future ideas in the pipeline? Oh yes, can't tell you them, but yeah, we've got some more ideas for how to do this. If you want to create an original article from scratch by using keywords only, where is the content coming from? Vincent was asking. I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but in the research section, when you're doing, let's just go into the research. When you're doing a research article, you can put keywords in here and add them as subtopics. Those subtopics can be simply headings to remind you what you want to write about, and if you know your topic, you can simply write the things you know. And as you gain expertise in a particular topic or niche, you might find that you can do that quite well. I mean, I've been writing about weight loss for about 10 years. I could write an article without doing research because I know a great deal about it, but that's taken time to build up that knowledge base. If you're wanting ideas for the topics and subtopics and chapter headings, you can use the keyword tool. So we would start with weight loss, if I can type it right, and then find subtopics. And then you can look at these and see, well, there's one. Apple cider vinegar is quite a popular topic, so you might want that as one of the subheadings or paragraph headings.
look at the cost per click on that one too. Wow, that's a valuable set of keywords.
I need to, yeah, wow, I'm going to be writing about that soon. Yeah, well, there are two there, aren't there? Weight loss reviews, that one, weight loss reviews. Now, why is that? Why am I picking on that one, John? What's relevant about that particular phrase?
Oh, because reviews are huge, and if they're looking for a review, they're looking to buy something.
It's what we call a buying keyword, a buying
Yep,
signal.
absolutely. That's why that cost per click is so high.
So that's a great one. I mean, look at nearly 10,000 searches a month. So that's a popular topic. So I could add that in, and that reminds me to put that paragraph in there. Supplements, that's kind of relevant as well because I suppose you could say apple cider vinegar is a supplement. Tea, cinnamon, coconut oil. This, what I'm seeing here would give me the idea of a title and a topic. Weight, not fancy, but weight loss solutions that work but are offbeat. So to me, that would remind me what I'm talking about, and I can add in these different topics. Tea, I know green tea is one of those things. Okay, we've got some celebrities, snacks for weight loss. Weight loss calculator. That's an interesting one because, some people want to kind of plan ahead. How much do I need to stop eating to lose X pounds by 6 weeks from now? Weight loss surgery is, I suppose you could say that's a kind of an offbeat topic as well. So I could build up a really solid article just from these subheadings if I know the topic. So you can create your own original content if you want to. And then we've got a nice layout for the article, the report, the newsletter, whatever it may be. And bear in mind, you can use this content in multiple places. You could have snippets of the content you create go out in a newsletter saying, here's a snippet of my latest blog post, click here to read the full thing. So that's teaser or clickbait content. You can add it into a report that you give away to get people onto your mailing list. I mean, honestly, if I were to tell you every possibility would be here another hour. This tool is incredible. And I don't say things like that lightly. I mean, you know, if it's okay, we'll say it's okay. If it's incredible, it's incredible. And it's incredible because it's been designed around the way people work. And therefore, there's less friction in using it, which makes it easier, less stressful, and more pleasant. And you can't ask for more than that. So Felix had just said he's had an issue when he's just bought. So thanks for joining us, Felix. If anybody has a problem after you've made your purchase, if you can't set up the account properly, just send a message to the help desk and we'll get you set up. It may take until tomorrow to do that, but we'll get you set up. So don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Anybody who's bought and didn't manage to set up your account properly, we will take care of you, I promise. Not a problem. We'll do that for you. So I think we're probably about at the end there, John. We've run over a few minutes, so it's not too bad. Is there anything else we need to cover before we conclude?
No, I think we're set. We've answered all the questions. We appreciate everybody coming out, taking the time to learn about this awesome tool, and for all the people who decided to take us up on the offer, you will not regret it. And remember, you have until tomorrow night, midnight Eastern time, that's New York time, to make your decision.
So after midnight tomorrow, I'm sorry, if you ask for that deal, you know what the answer is going to be. The answer is no. And as much as I hate having to say that to people, I have to say it. So please, if you want to save $100 and you want to lock it in for life, do it now, as fast as you can. Thanks very much, everybody. See you next time. Bye now.